Hi everyone, it's Mike here. I'm back. Before I get on to today's project, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who recently sent me messages of love and support while Dad was in hospital after having his stroke. I'm happy to report that he's now back home, safe, rested, and responding well to the new treatment and the new medication that he's been receiving. So it's a thumbs up for that. So on to today's project. I'm going to be tackling a little bit late because I should have done this last week, but obviously circumstances prevented me from doing so. I'm going to be tackling the mid-month mini mission inspiration for April, which, and I will stick it on the screen here, is the word move. So it's all about direction, it's all about movement. So let's get ahead and get started. So because it's a mission inspiration mini one, I'm going to be working out of my mission inspiration 8x8 journal, and I've already taken a sheet of watercolour cardstock from my journal. He says throwing his journal down on the floor out of the way. And I'm going to start off by gluing down some fragments of an old piece of map paper that I had in my collection that I've just literally ripped up into fragments. And I'm just going to grab some glue and I'm going to just roughly glue them all down, but making sure I've got them facing all the right way up. And I'm not bothered whether I get any bits of glue or whether any of this kind of sticks up, because I want to create a little bit of texture in the background. There we go, just grab one of those bigger pieces. Now this is a spirit-based glue, so there is a little bit of wiggle room before it does grab. And there are plenty of these types of glues on the market. And now this one that I'm using is very easily and readily available here in the UK. But for you guys over in the States, if you can't get hold of this, you can get this one. And this is pretty much the same thing. And that's the Tombow Mono Aqua liquid glue. So that's pretty much exactly what's in here, just in a different packet. There we go. So let's get these glued down. Just randomly sticking them down just to create a little bit of background texture, because I will be painting over this in a little while. Just create a little bit of a random broken up kind of pattern with the fragments. I'm trying to get it so that I'm getting everything face up. Well, my eyesight not being what it was, I'm bound to have got one of these pieces upside down. As long as I can read some of the writing, and I'm on to a winner, sort of. There we go. And then let's get this in there, the general map of the world. Let's just create a little bit of rough edge around there. Like I said, I'm going to be adding a bit of paint over the top of this anyway in a little while, so it doesn't really matter too much. There we go, that'll do for the background. So I can clear these little bits of paper away, and then I just need to give this a few seconds to dry before I do anything else to it. So I'm going to wait for that to dry and then I will be right back. Looks like I'm ready to eat, doesn't it? Gesso on one side, brush on the other. Anyway, so this has now had time to dry. It's probably just gone off, which is nice. And I've got some gesso. This is the Art Basics gesso from Finnabair and Prima Marketing, and this is the clear one. So I'm going to just grab hold of my pot and a brush, and I'm just going to go over all of that paper with the clear gesso. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want to add some more paint and more colours over the top, and adding the gesso, if you don't know already, gives the paint a tooth, or gives it something to grab onto, but also once you've gessoed you can make the paint go further. There's a property with the gesso, I'm not really sure what it is, but it just allows you to be able to manoeuvre and move the paint on the page a little bit better. I want to drop that into some water. So as you saw, that went on kind of milky, because it's a kind of milky colour in the pot, but as you've guessed, when it dries it goes completely clear. Okay, so that's the gesso all nice and dried, and for those that don't know, obviously when it dries it gives a matte finish. There's no shine there whatsoever, so if you've got any papers with a laminate on, that kind of thing, you can put the clear gesso over the top and dry it, and it gets rid of that shininess if you're like me and don't like to see the shine coming through. Now, as I said before, I used clear. For those that don't know, if you're new to this art journaling malarkey, as somebody referred to it today, then the gesso also comes in clear, it comes in white, and you can also get it in black. It's a kind of primer. There you go. So that's now done. So I'm going to introduce some colour into this now, and to do that I'm going to bring in a very inexpensive paint. This is an acrylic paint from a company called Do Crafts. It's part of their artiste range, and this is a clay colour, a nice earthy clay colour, and I'm just going to drop some of that clay colour on there. So clay, terracotta, pretty much the same kind of thing, and I'm just going to whiz it around the page like so. Now, I wouldn't have been able to do this quite as well if I hadn't have added that gesso. The paint would have grabbed into the texture of the paper and you wouldn't have been able to move it as easy as I'm doing now. So that's one of the other properties of the gesso. So I'm just going to wipe it around, get a nice kind of motley base coat. There we go. And I've just realised I've got no baby wipes up here. I've used them all and I haven't replaced them. So I need to leave that to dry, and while that's drying I'm going to go quickly wash my hands and go grab some baby wipes. So that is now nice and dry and my fingers are kind of clean. Okay, so I'm going to start introducing some darker colour into the background now. So I've got some burnt umber from the same range. So this is like a dark brown colour. And I'm just bringing out a little bit of an acrylic block just to daub some paint onto, because I don't want to put it directly onto my brand new craft mat, because I don't know whether or not it's going to stain yet. I haven't had the heart to test it. Right, so this is a Arrows stencil from TCW, the Crafters Workshop, which I've had in my collection for absolutely ages, but I'm sure it's still available if you wanted to grab a copy for yourself. And I'm just going to stencil on with some of those arrows. I'm using a cosmetic sponge, but there's nothing to say you can't use a brush or whatever tool you feel most comfortable with. I'm just going to go around adding in this paint, and I'm doing the arrows going in different directions. Just for a little bit of added interest in the background. And again, I'll add some more over here. And another bit block going up over there. Just do it all going in different directions. Like so. All over, so we've got some nice kind of direction going in there. Hello Mr. Bentley Boos, back from your walk. Somebody's just kicked open the door. You come to retrieve one of your toys, have you? Good boy. Has he been a good boy, Daddy?
It's pouring with rain, so what do you think?
Oh, obviously not then.
No, he hates the rain.
Bless him. So grab a little bit more of that paint, because I've just about run out. I want to go over the world. Just there. Just so you've got a hint that it's still there. But just kind of, not quite covered up, but almost, but not quite, if you get my drift. Okay, let's get that dried off. I'll get this cleaned up and I'll be right back. So my arrows are all now dry, so I'm going to introduce another colour, this time a little bit of a contrasty colour. I'm going to be using this pale olive acrylic paint. This is from Reeves, one of my favourite colours. I'm going to, at least it's had the courtesy of staying in one lump. So I'm going to daub some of that green paint onto that piece of acrylic. Notice I did clean it off. I have a clean cosmetic sponge. I'm also going to bring in a new stencil. This time, well, it's not a new stencil, it's an old stencil for me, but a new stencil for this project. And this is a compass stencil, and this is from my friends at a company called Be Crafty here in the UK. And I'm going to add some of that pale olive colour on the stencil. Now for me, the clay colour looks like rust or kind of iron oxide. It's got that kind of earthy, rusty colour to it, and this pale olive kind of reminds me of copper oxide, or verdigris as we call it. And I just thought it would look quite nice on this little project, just to give it a little bit of lift. I wasn't intentionally wanting to make it look like rust and verdigris, because you don't get verdigris on iron oxide, you only get it on copper. But as an artiste, we're allowed some license. And if anybody doesn't like the artistic license thing, they know what they can do. In a polite way, of course. Yeah, there we go. Like it, like it. Okay, so to continue the theme of those arrows, this is the reason why I left a little bit of that paint out. I want to go back over with the same kind of stencil, and this time just bring in a suggestion using that green colour over the top, just so we've got a little bit of variation and movement around the page. Lots of nice layers to look at. And yep, I did nearly put this stencil the wrong way around then. So thank you for those that shouted at the screen. Cool, me likey. Let's get that dry and cleared off, and I'll be right back. So my green is now all dry, and I want to add some highlights onto the page now. So I want to bring that white border to the forefront. For that, I'm just going to use some white acrylic paint, this time from Dina Wakeley Media, and it's just one of her little pots of white, which I think actually may be running out. I may need to go and invest in a new one. I'm just going to grab some water, just spritz a little bit onto this paint mat, and then grab my fan brush, give it a mix, and then we can add some nice kind of dribbly splatters, and that'll do, as they say. Let's grab some kitchen roll, just give that a mop up quickly, and then just get rid of those that have splattered onto the mat, and then put that away. Look at me tidying up straight away. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to give that blast with my heat gun just to get it all dry. So my splatters are now completely dry. That was there already. Okay, so to add my quote or my phrase to the art journal page, I've got these self-adhesive letters that look like old typewriter keys. Now I picked these up for next to nothing at a local home store here in the UK called Home Bargains, and they were down the aisle that is reserved for weddings and that kind of thing. They've got all kinds of equipment and things for table settings and all that kind of thing, and these were in there, and they were very, very inexpensive. I got change from £1, so naturally I grabbed loads of them. So I'm going to peel off my letters, and I'm going to stick them in the middle, or in the middle of my compass, hopefully straight, he says. But it doesn't matter if they're not entirely straight, does it? No, I hear you all cry. Or not. Because the circles, I can't even use a ruler to get them straight. So I'm just doing it by eye. But I think that works. Maybe the E's a little bit too high before it grabs. Yeah, we go. That'll do. And I think I'm happy with that. I'm not going to do any more. You don't have to overdo it. We've got the paper in the background, we've got the layering of the two stencils giving you that movement around the page, and we've got the compass giving you the compass giving you direction as well. So I think that pretty much does the job. So all I have to do now is just sign it and date it. Tuesday, 24th of April 2018. And that's it. Job done. So there you go, one art journal page for the mini mission inspiration for the month of April with the word move. Perfect. Okay, well I think it's perfect anyway, but who am I to judge? So that's it from me for today. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, without whose generosity and support these videos would not be possible. Thank you.